In case you guys haven't heard, here in Toronto, we went through a massive blackout due to the ice storm. My entire neighborhood went without power and heat for several days. Luckily, on Christmas Eve, our power came back on, and my family and I celebrated Christmas on Christmas Day. So I hope you all had a better week than I have, and happy holidays to all of you. Now let's get started with reviewing those last final chapters of 2013. Hey guys, LunarSpottom27 here, and Kishimoto has given us a Christmas present yesterday, Naruto chapter 660, A Concealed Heart. So the chapter begins where we see Kurama and Gyuki latched onto those chains that Madara unleashed on the previous chapter. Naruto tries to undo the bijuus mode that he is in, however it does not work, because the chakra chains are preventing Kurama from returning to Naruto's body, meaning that he cannot undo the bijuus mode that he is in now. Now Kurama is getting pulled further and further away from Naruto. And while this is going on, Madara and White Zetsu decide to have a little conversation. While Madara is trying to extract Gyuki and Kurama from Naruto and Killer Bee, White Zetsu suggests that for the sake of efficiency, Madara should seal the other remaining bijuus, starting with Shukaku, since extracting Gyuki and Kurama will take some time. Well, going in order for the sake of efficiency never really did apply ever since the Akatsuki were introduced, since Chome, Saiken, and Kokuo were sealed before Shukaku. Then again, there was the whole filler thing, but I will not get into that. Anyway, Gaara uses a technique called Desert Hands to summon giant sand hands to latch onto the chain, so that Shukaku will not get sealed. Shukaku was surprised that Gaara was trying to protect him, especially since him and Gaara were never on the same page. This was shown in a flashback where we see Gaara as a little kid inside his own mindscape with Shukaku. Shukaku tells Gaara that once he falls asleep, he will take over his mind and body and kill as many humans as he possibly can. Now, we already know that Shukaku despises humans just as much as Kurama did back then. However, the flashback doesn't show the origins of Shukaku's hatred towards humans, but it does show that Shukaku does have a certain fondness towards a certain human. This was shown in another flashback. I know, guys, another flashback, but just bear with it for a while. Many years in Suna. Now, compared to how jinchuuriki were treated in the past and in the present, this kind of shows a bit of an improvement for the present, because back in the day, I believe this is either the second jinchuuriki or the very first jinchuuriki of Shukaku, I'm not so sure, but if you're a jinchuuriki of Shukaku, they lock you up in a cell like you're a freaking prisoner, and the only food they give you is bread and water. Now, Gaara's past is tragic, but at least he was able to walk around in the village, although he still get those hateful looks from the villagers, just like Naruto back then, and even Killer Bee back then. But compared to the present as of right now, Naruto, Killer Bee, and Gaara, all these three have become respected shinobi of their villages. They're no longer seen as monsters themselves or demons. I mean, Gaara's now the Kazekage, and Naruto was the hero of Konoha. Now, this previous jinchuuriki was an old priest, who nobody, by the way, has ever called him by his real name. They only call him as Shukaku, like he's the actual demon. However, the old priest was never bothered by this. Inside the mindscape, Shukaku says that the priest must really be burning up inside. I mean, not only is he despised by his fellow humans, but they also put him behind bars, forced to talk to a monster who wishes for nothing but ill will towards the human species, as his only companion ever. And yet, he doesn't have any hatred towards his fellow humans. He doesn't even mind having Shukaku as his friend. In the flashback, the old priest tells Shukaku, when you see a reflection on the surface of water, there's an obvious side and a concealed side. This is akin to the human heart. Oftentimes, words are uttered that stand directly opposed to what the heart is feeling. He believes, in spite of whatever harsh words are spoken, the concealed heart secretly wants to embrace everyone. This also includes bijuus. So because of this old priest's philosophy and beliefs of the human heart, Shukaku begins to warm up to him, even saying that he reminded him of the Rikudo Senhi. The old priest was so touched by this that he starts to cry, thanking Shukaku for those words. Now, I'm assuming that this old priest doesn't have a lot of time left because Shukaku said that he'll never be able to find a person just like him. Now, the old priest has kanji tattoos on his hands. The kanji for receive on the left and the kanji for heart on the right. The old priest believes that there will be a day when someone will not only save Shukaku but show him the light. Of course, it will not happen unless he is willing to receive someone's concealed heart. And when that time comes, Shukaku will fully grasp the meaning of the words that his master, the priest master, placed on his palms. This chapter had good symbolism where it shows the old priest's hands containing the kanji and clapping together, showing that the two kanji receive and heart combine. And then out of the flashback, you see Gaara's tattoo, which we've learned in part 1 means love. And basically, Gaara's kanji tattoo is the combination of two kanjis from the previous page from the old priest, heart and receive. So we're finally out of the flashback and Gaara is struggling to save Shukaku. However, we enter another flashback. This time, this was before Gaara was captured and had Shukaku extracted from him. In his mindscape, where we see him older, saying that there was a time when he loathed Shukaku, but he was grateful to him because if he didn't become the jinchuuriki, he would never have met Naruto. He would never have changed. Okay, so finally, after I believe 6 pages of flashbacks, we finally get back to the present. Madara summons his Susanoo and launches a Susanoo sword towards Gaara. However, that sword is blocked by Shukaku's hand, protecting him. But the strangest thing is, and I had no idea Madara can do this, but the sword extracts itself out of Shukaku's hand, cuts the chain, goes around the desert hands, cuts the chain again, and is heading towards Gaara, knocking him back. What the hell? How the hell did Madara do this? Is this another Susanoo technique that only those who awaken the Rinnegan can do this? And if that's the case, how come Madara's never done that before when he fought against the Kages? Also, since he sliced the chains, wouldn't that mean that Shukaku's free? Well, okay, I can't answer the first 2 questions, but as for the last one, even if the chains were cut, the broken chains would latch onto each other, reforming. So I guess cutting the chains, freeing the bijuus is not an option. While Gaara's actions reminded Shukaku of the old priest, there was a reference to a folk tale called the Bunbuku tale. I'm not sure if that's also the name of the priest, but according to this folk tale, it's about a raccoon who transformed into a kettle to save an old man who had also rescued him. However, this is not helping Shukaku's case because he's still getting dragged towards the Gedo Mazos, as well as the remaining bijuus. Now, in one panel, you see Gyuki slicing off one of his tentacles. I'm assuming that he's doing the same trick that Killer Bee used when he got caught by the Akatsuki, meaning that the tentacle cut could be a portion of Gyuki's chakra left over for Killer Bee so that he would survive. So, does this mean that Killer Bee is not gonna die anytime soon? Probably. With Kurama, however, he asks Gaara for a favor, but we don't know what that favor is. Unfortunately, Kurama has been fully extracted from Naruto, and we all know what happens when a biju gets separated from its jinchuuriki. Yeah, Naruto is in serious trouble, and that is where the chapter ends. So yeah, that is Naruto chapter 660. What did I think? Well, I actually thought this was a pretty good chapter. I did like seeing Gaara doing more in this chapter, and his relationship with Shukaku is becoming a better bond. There was some good symbolism in this chapter, especially when the old priest was talking about the concealed heart, where it shows his palm, I believe, which had the kanji for heart, its reflection on the water in his mindscape. Not only that, but also when he's talking about one must receive another's heart, he clasped his 2 hands, which contained the kanji heart and receive together. However, with the flashbacks, I was a bit iffy why it was shown at this time, because to me it felt like the flashback was filling up space. But that doesn't mean that the flashbacks were terrible. It actually does show some new stuff, especially how jinchuurikis were treated back in Suna in the past. And, compared to that with the present, it's a bit of an improvement when you compare the two. Hell, I don't even think Kushina got it bad compared to the priest And I didn't mind the priest's philosophy and beliefs of the human heart. I actually thought it was nice. However, the portions of the flashback where it shows Gaara and Shukaku interacting with each other, even when Gaara was a little kid, I felt like it would have been a lot better if this was shown way earlier. In part 1, we only learned that there are others just like Naruto. Gaara was the only other jinchuuriki introduced. And in part 1, we only learned that Shukaku hated humans, but we never actually learned his relationship with Gaara. We never actually learned like what the bond is between these two. The flashback portions with Gaara and Shukaku, I feel like it would have been a lot better if they were shown earlier. Maybe before Gaara died from getting Shukaku extracted from him when he was captured. And I can understand why people are annoyed with these flashbacks, because it felt like those flashbacks were filling up space. But these flashbacks weren't terrible because we get to learn about new things, and they're not flashbacks of the past that we've seen over and over and over again. Now, the ending with Naruto and Kurama finally being separated. We know that when a jinchuuriki gets their bijuu extracted from him or her, that person dies. Since he is an Uzumaki, and Uzumakis have a long lifespan, he's not going to die yet. He is on the verge of death right now, but if he does die, he's obviously not going to stay dead for long, since he is the main character. There are many ways that Naruto can survive this. One way is Minato heads towards Naruto and gives him the other half of Kurama. Another way could be what Kurama told Gaara before he was extracted from Naruto. We don't know like what that is, but we'll probably learn it when the next chapter comes out. Another way could be a person sacrifices his or her life in order to bring back Naruto. Some people say it could be Obito using another Rinne Tensei technique. Me personally, Obito does not have the lifespan or the energy to do another Rinne Tensei. Or it could be another technique like what Chio did for Gaara. Whatever the method may be, let's just hope it is not a complete asspull. But there was actually another thing that has been bugging me. Gaara is the only one that is trying to stop Madara. Where the hell is everybody else? Where's Sasuke? Where's Tobirama? Where's Sarutobi? Where's Orochimaru? Where's the Konoha 11? Where are the Kages? Where's the Allied Shinobi forces? Because I highly doubt that they would just stand there doing nothing but watch Madara trying to reseal the 9 bijuus. Obviously, they would try to do something, even if it is Madara Uchiha. They wouldn't just stand around and do nothing. This is not like when Pain invaded Konoha and they had to leave it to Naruto to beat him. What, are the Allied Shinobi forces and the Kages and the rest, are they at Ichiraku Ramen's having a lunch break or something? And I swear to God, if Minato and Kakashi are still standing around doing nothing while Obito is still being possessed by Black Zetsu, I'm really gonna lose my shit. Especially when Minato might be able to sense that Naruto is on the verge of death right now. Sorry about the rant. It's just that of all times of not to show the minor characters, now is not the good time. Despite all these flaws, I still thought the chapter was good. Not great, but still good. It seems that Gaara is going to have a bigger role in this, and I'm okay with that because Gaara is one of my favorite characters. So tell me guys, what do you think of this week's chapter? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think the flashbacks were unnecessary? And how do you think Naruto is going to survive since he is now on the verge of death? Let me know in the comments below. Also, be sure to like the video if you like it and subscribe for more videos. Also, be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So that is Naruto chapter 660. I'm Lunar 27, and I will see you guys later. Bye.